YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. In this video, preview video for the Cleveland Browns. I want to talk about how the Niners can get back on track with a win tomorrow night against the Minnesota Vikings. So, obviously, as far as the injury report goes, I've talked about this in a lot of videos recently uploaded, but Christian McCaffrey will likely play. Deebo Samuel obviously out with the hairline fracture in his shoulder for the next 2 weeks. He'll be back after the bye week. Trent Williams going into the game tomorrow night as questionable. So the 49ers are definitely not the healthiest. I know Dre Greenlaw is also on the injury report tomorrow going into the game as questionable. It's real simple how the 49ers can get a win. For one, you definitely have to be over the loss from last week against the Cleveland Browns, in which I think this team is probably. I talked about this earlier this week. It seems like there's always a game that the 49ers let slip away from them every single year in a game where they should win. Last year it was the Chicago Bears week 1. We also lost to the Atlanta Falcons last year in what was a close game, but we lost to Marcus Mariota and company over there. The year before, we lost a heartbreaker to the Atlanta Falcons. The 49ers have seemingly not been good against the Atlanta Falcons for some reason, but they've struggled against the Falcons in games where they should have won. The year they went to the Super Bowl, I believe they lost to the Falcons as well. The 49ers always struggle with the Atlanta Falcons. I know there's a Cardinal loss or two in there as well, so you have to get over last week's loss. I think that's the biggest thing. I think, the 49ers are in a position where they've been through adversity midseason. They've been through games where they've lost that they should have won, and it seems like when that happens, the 49ers continue to they'll show up the next week and they'll continue to kind of just move forward from that point on. So that's the good news about this team. This team knows, it's a long season. They can't let this loss linger on their minds too much. They have to get on, move on, to the next game. Because the minute you do that, we know what happens. But yeah, like I said, McCaffrey likely to play. Obviously, dealing with the oblique injury. Adam Schefter tweeted out earlier, all signs point to 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey playing Monday night at Minnesota, despite the fact that he's listed as questionable due to an oblique injury. It says McCaffrey returned to practice in a limited way Saturday and said after that he feels great. So great news for McCaffrey. I would imagine he's going to be on like a pitch count, a snap count. They're probably... I'm not going to say they're going to strictly just use him as a decoy because they're not going to, especially if he plays. But I'm talking about just don't. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan's going to know what he's doing, but I think the main thing is you don't need to overwork him. There's no reason Christian McCaffrey needs to be worked nearly as much as he'd be worked as if he was healthy. So you got to think he's going to be on a snap count. Probably going to be used as a semi-decoy for the most part. There'll probably be a lot of downs where he's in. And the 49ers just kind of, like I said, use him somewhat as a decoy. But not like strictly a decoy. Christian McCaffrey will get his. I'm sure he'll get another touchdown tomorrow. He's been automatic at that. And if he does get another touchdown tomorrow, that'll be 16 straight games with a touchdown. So that's going to be massive for Christian McCaffrey. That's another thing, too. When he was injured last Sunday in Cleveland, I remember thinking to myself, like, there's no way, unless, the MRIs come back and it's more of a serious injury, there's no possible way Christian McCaffrey sits out knowing that he can keep this touchdown streak alive. And Christian McCaffrey hasn't, been out for the 49ers in any game he's played since being traded from Carolina. So I think that's another thing. McCaffrey's going to want to, show up and play. So, and he's going to want to keep that streak alive. So, yeah, I think with McCaffrey, he's going to be on a snap count. It's probably going to be Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell splitting carries here and there. I know Elijah Mitchell was activated last week to play. He didn't get a single snap, but I would imagine Jordan Mason's probably the lead number 2 back going into tomorrow. And then I would probably say that Elijah Mitchell's going to get, his sum. I'm sure Tyrion Davis, however you say his name, Ty Davis Price or Tyrion Davis Price will also be, I'm sure, activated and will play here and there. So, yeah, I think as far as the run game goes, it's one of them things where the 49ers still have a strong run game with or without Christian McCaffrey. I know with CMC in, it makes things a whole lot easier in terms of running the football and opening up the play action, the screens, of course. I mean, we understand what McCaffrey does in the offense, but the 49ers run game should be fine. Minnesota's not too good against the run this year. I'm sure Minnesota's number one thing right now is to probably put the game in Brock Purdy's hands. But again, I think Brock Purdy, smart football, didn't have the best game last week. But Brock Purdy's a young guy that will move on from that. He understands that, there's it's a long season and whatnot. I'm not worried about Brock Purdy not moving on from last week's loss. So, to be honest, I expect another game, another efficient, good game from Brock Purdy. 2 touchdowns, 20 completions, throwing, 20-something attempts. I expect a Brock Purdy game like that for tomorrow. Now, with Deebo Samuel out, we look at the wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk should have a monster day tomorrow. I would imagine Kittle's probably a little bit more involved, not only just because it's National Tight End Day, but with no Deebo, I'm sure Kittle's probably going to be a little more involved in tomorrow's game plan. You would hope so, right? We talked about it last night in a video about how I feel like Kittle's underutilized in the offense. Yeah, I think Kittle's got to get involved tomorrow with Deebo being out. It could be a big day for Ronnie Bell, for Juwan Jennings. Those guys, we know Juwan Jennings is a third down machine. He's automatic on third downs. Ronnie Bell's been a yak machine this year as well in the games that he's played. I know, I believe it was week 3 when we played New York on Thursday Night Football. He ruled in a touchdown. Ronnie Bell fits this offense perfect. He's literally the exact wide receiver Kyle Shanahan wants in this offense. So could be a decent day for Ronnie Bell tomorrow. I think the biggest thing is stick to the 49ers football. Kyle Shanahan's going to know exactly what to do in tomorrow's game. But what I'm saying is come out, start strong. We know also how well Kyle Shanahan, draws up play and opening drives to start the game. I think the 49ers just have to start out fast and keep their foot on the throttle. I know that's pretty cliche to say, but as far as this offense goes, limit turnovers, limit mistakes, balanced offense tomorrow, strong run game will open up the passing game. 49ers football, just like how we all know it. It should be a decent game tomorrow. I'm not saying that, just because Justin Jefferson is out for the Minnesota Vikings tomorrow that they're not going to compete whatsoever. They still have a lot of good playmakers. One person I think will be interested to see how the 49ers approach is Jordan Addison, Minnesota Vikings rookie wide receiver out of USC. Love Jordan Addison coming out of college. He can put safeties in the dust over the top. I think that's another big thing is New England did a great job when they played Minnesota at this, but keeping the safeties deep, not letting anything over top. Jordan Addison's a machine when it comes to that. They'll definitely have to watch out for that. Alexander Madison's also had last couple weeks he's played very efficient. The run game will be interesting. We weren't really well in the run game last week. But I think, for this week, Steve Wilkes will make adjustments, and I think stopping the run game, it starts with probably stopping the run game. I know, Minnesota's got TJ Hawkinson, who is a top 4, top 5 tight end in the NFL. You could argue that he's top 3. He's a great player. I would imagine Vikings will probably heavily utilize him tomorrow with Jefferson being out. And, of course, with National Tight End Day. We've seen today, obviously, Mark Andrews, Dawson Knox, Travis Kelce went off, Gerald Everett scored. So tight ends are going to get in, and Hawkinson could easily be one of those guys. So I think limiting him, it makes me feel good knowing that Fred Warner will likely be on him. Fred Warner is the best linebacker in coverage, in pass coverage in the NFL. He's the best complete middle linebacker in the NFL. I don't think that's even a debate. So it makes me feel a little bit better that we have him, and he'll be on TJ Hawkinson shadowing him all night. But yeah, I think it's simple. Stick to what they know best. With or without McCaffrey being at 100% or getting the normal snap count that he gets, this 49ers run game can still be great. Jordan Mason played well last week. But I think, yeah, for as far as the defense goes, 49ers weren't good on the run, or guarding the run last week in Minnesota or last week in Cleveland. Jerome Ford kind of had his way last week, as well as Kareem Hunt. So I think it starts with stopping the run game. And like I said, I'll be interested to see what adjustments Steve Wilkes makes from last week coming into this week. So, yeah, I mean, final score prediction, I'm going to say 49ers score. So, I mean, I'll go 31-20, 49ers win it. I could see something like 31-17. Total points, I mean 47, 48 point total points. But I think the 49ers comfortably win by 10. They should at least. But, again, we can't underestimate the Minnesota Vikings. They're a great football team. Even though Kirk Cousins is 2-10 on Monday Night Football, that does not mean anything. So, yeah, I think it starts tomorrow with a great opening drive and score from the 49ers offense, and then defense steps up, of course, how they typically do. So I'll be updating you guys tomorrow on the final injury report and letting you guys know updates on who's playing and whatnot. Obviously, with McCaffrey questionable, but let's face the fact he's playing. Dre Greenlaw is somebody else to keep an eye out on. Trent Williams is doubtful, so I doubt he plays. But yeah, other than that, go Niners. 31-17, 31-20. I think the 49ers pull it out. I do think Christian McCaffrey gets in there tomorrow as well. I think it could be another big day from Kittle. Hopefully Kittle's a little more involved tomorrow. I would love to see that, especially for National Tight End Day. And it only makes sense with Deebo Samuel out as well. So, yeah, I think it's a great game for the 49ers to get back on track and get their confidence back up. I don't really know if they've lost any confidence because they know the football team that they have, but you guys get the point. I think this is a perfect game for the Niners to get back on track. You just can't underestimate the Minnesota Vikings. And it's not like we I said this in the postgame video last week. I don't think we underestimated the Cleveland Browns last week. I think it was just a game where, the 49ers, I think they obviously didn't defend the run well. The offense was struggling at times. We shot ourselves in the foot all week last week. Too many offensive line penalties. Too many penalties in general. So, yeah, limit penalties tomorrow, too. I think that's another thing to watch out for. And I think the 49ers will do that. Complimentary football wins the game. But with that being said, let me know your guys' final score predictions in the comment section down below. As always, go Niners, and I'll see you guys in the next one.